Before we jump into today's show, I've got a really exciting announcement to make. The autumn cohorts for Start Your Podcast group program are now open. There are 5 dates between September and October, and it's a 6-week program that will get you launched before Christmas. So if podcasting was on your to-do list this year, if you really want to get your podcast up and done by the end of 2023, then come and join me for one of those cohorts and let's make it happen. I have a free masterclass available for you called Understanding the Power of Podcasting. You can go over to donnaeade.com/masterclass, watch the masterclass and get access to that enrollment. I hope to see you in one of the autumn cohorts very soon. That's donnaeade.com/masterclass. Let's get back to the show.
You're listening to the Wedding Procast UK, the place to be if you are looking to grow and streamline your wedding business. My name's Donna, I'm your host, and if you are new here, welcome. I hope you have hit that subscribe button where you listen so you don't miss an upcoming episode. And if you haven't yet, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts so that we can reach more people just like you. Let's jump into today's show.
Back to the podcast, everybody. We are 100 episodes old. I am so super excited to bring you today's episode, not only because it's a little bit of a fun one, but also because it is our 100th episode, and I can hardly believe that I am saying that. This has been a journey of discovery, and I hope you have been enjoying the ride. So in today's show, we are going to be looking back on some of our previous episodes. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I started the podcast, and we're going to jump into it. So let's go. So first off, I'm going to give you the top 5 downloaded episodes of all time currently. So our top 5 episodes. So I will link them all in the show notes so you can go and have a listen if you have missed these particular episodes. So I'm going to start with our top 5 most downloaded episodes of the Wedding Procast UK. So number 1, the most downloaded episode, you have to go right back to episode 039. So episode 39, which was my episode with Tamron Settle, who was one of the leaders of the hashtag What About Weddings campaign, along with Annabelle and Jessica. So she came on the show, she told us all about what was going on in the wedding industry at that moment in time, what they were looking at trying to achieve, what they were working towards. It was a fantastic episode. Although it was of its time and not particularly relevant to the here and now, it's definitely an episode to go back and look on to see where we have come from. So that was a really great episode. And along the same vein, my number 2 most downloaded episode was Coping with Lockdown with Lynette Chasma, and that was episode 041, episode 41. Me and Lynette had a fantastic conversation. Lynette was doing lives on Instagram and having conversations with people all throughout lockdown, especially for bridal hairstylists, and she came on the show and just told us about what she'd been doing to keep herself busy, because she's actually somebody who works for part of the year in Crete, I think it is. She works over in Greece and for part of the year, and obviously she couldn't do that during lockdown, so she kind of gave us the ins and outs of what she'd been doing to cope with the situation. Number 3 most downloaded episode is actually a more recent one. It was episode 91, and that was my episode on 3 tips for more success in your wedding business in 2022. I love to do these episodes of little quick tips and tricks that you can do that not necessarily innovative, not necessarily brand new thought processes, but things that are easily forgotten that can make all the difference. So that was definitely one of these episodes where we looked at making sure that we've got our basics under control to help us increase our success in 2022. So that one will be linked below as well. Number 4, our most popular episode, our 4th most popular episode was episode 026, episode 26, which was Minding Your Thoughts with Syra Hassan. And this was part of my self-care series. So back then, I think it was probably August time, and it was when Boris had just announced that weddings weren't going to open up to the 30 people. It was going to stay at 15, and we were all just on that edge of seeing a light at the end of the tunnel, and it was whipped away from us. And I just thought it was going to crush so many people that I felt the need to do a little bit of a self-care series where we could just really kind of go inwards and look after ourselves in that time. And Syra's episode was one of the 4 episodes in that mini series. So I will link the whole mini series below and Syra's episode so you can go back and listen to that, because you know what? Self-care is not a one and done thing. So you should definitely be going back and listening to those episodes on a regular basis when you need to hype up your self-care. And number 5, the top most downloaded episodes, is another recent one, and it is episode 95. And that was my episode with Camilla Fellers-Arnold on exploring your creativity. So I'm really, really pleased that some of the more recent ones made it into those top downloads. That's really exciting to me. Let me know, are you surprised by them? Have you got an episode that is your favourite that you thought would be in that top 5? You can come over to the group at facebook.com/groups/WPC UK and let me know what your favourites are. I will put these in the group as well so you can vote on which one of these particular ones was your favourite. So before I go on to my top 5, so I decided to give myself some parameters with my top 5, that I wasn't going to repeat any of the ones that were in the top downloads, because I do love a lot of those ones in the top downloads. I really enjoyed doing. You'll notice that actually 4 of them are interview episodes, and I do love doing my interviews, but I challenge myself not to overlap and not to choose any of those top 5 downloads in mine. And I also took a bonus 6 episode because I couldn't not, and it's my game, so I make the rules. But before we go into that, I wanted to talk about the podcast itself and why I started it. So the Wedding Procast was born. This episode's going out, and then I think our second birthday is the 16th of April. So it's a couple of episodes away is our birthday episode. So I'll bring on a cake or something for that one. Why not? But yeah, we're 100 episodes in, and it all started back in April 2020. Now, I run the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors, which you may or may not know. And the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors is an organisation set up to raise standards within the wedding industry using our code of conduct and our application process for members. So the idea being that wedding suppliers would come to us, apply to be part of the membership, agree to the code of conduct, and then in turn we promote them as being code abiding members. This was an idea that I had around 5 or so years ago, that I really wanted to do something to help with regulating standards within the wedding industry. And I believe the wedding industry is an industry, and if nothing else came out of the pandemic, I think it is very obvious that the wedding industry is a standalone industry in its own right. And it always bothered me that you could never select that when you were looking at industries that you were part of. When it comes to jobs, what industry do you work in? Construction, retail, office admin, all of that stuff, and wedding industry was never there, and it has always bothered me. So I wanted to kind of help to solidify that visual to the world that we are an industry in our own right. And I think the pandemic has actually helped in that respect to make it very clear that we are an industry that stand together. So that was the idea behind the society, and my plan was to open up the society at the beginning of 2020, in March in fact, and I did. I started it. I had no idea what was really coming. You know, there had been rumours about this pandemic and how it was going to affect us, and you know, I'd been put on furlough in the March, and I was just like, great, I can really buckle down on doing the website for this society and really get it ready to launch. And obviously, you know, the pandemic hit, and it hit hard, and I was looking at it and thinking that the likelihood is that wedding vendors aren't going to be running to sign up to this society because the whole industry has stopped. So they don't really need that third party endorsement from a professional organisation. But what they do need is something to help them through what it is that we're going through. And that is when I decided to set up the podcast. So the podcast in its first vision was the Society of Professional Wedding Vendors podcast, but I changed the name down the line because I thought it made it look like it was a members only podcast, and it's not. It's open to everybody. So I changed the name to the Wedding Procast UK, and the rest, as they say, is history. 100 episodes later, here we are. The society is still around. I still am active in there. We have members in there. You are welcome to join us. It is something that I want to grow, but tonight we are closing our doors to new members for the next little while, and that is because I have some things coming up that I need to focus on. We are closing the doors to the society at midnight tonight if you are listening to this on the day of release. So this is coming out on Thursday the 31st of March, and we are closing doors at midnight tonight. So if you want to get in and take advantage of the trainings that we have in there, we have some fantastic masterclasses, some summer conversations, and we have obviously the directory and the promotion. All of that is in there. And you get access to everything that we have in there from the last 2 years that we have been putting things in there. So you get access to all of that if you sign up before midnight tonight. So you can head over to the link in the show notes for that. You can go just to spwv.co.uk, and there is a button straight there on the homepage that says sign up, and that will take you to the join information, or you can follow the link in the show notes, whichever is easier for you. But once we are closed, we will not be opening again this year. So this is your last chance to get into the society this year and get promotion over the summer period through the autumn period through the society. So that is there if you would like. And if you need any help, any questions you've got, then just drop me a DM or send me an email. All of the information is on my website, and I will get back to you on that as soon as I can. So over to my top 5 episodes. So the episodes that I thoroughly enjoyed and think are well worth going back and listening to. So number 1 is episode 48. That was with Heather Stanford Gould, and it was your legal fairy godmother talking about contracts. Now, I am a huge believer in doing things the right way, and if you are in the wedding industry providing a service or a product to a couple, you should have a contract in place, or at the very least an order form with a set of terms and conditions. So that episode is a really great one to listen to, especially if you are new to the industry or thinking of getting into the industry. Head over and listen to that one. The next one is episode 86. And this was get rid of your to-do list and do this instead. And that is because I found an amazing amount of time when I did this. And for me, it's something that I really struggled with. I'm a big believer in calendar blocking, but I found that what I was doing was putting too much on my plate and having too big an expectation of myself. So even with the calendar blocking, for example, I would expect myself to get 3 podcasts done in a day from beginning to end. So from the recording, the editing, the creating the show notes, the uploading to my podcast provider, to doing the website, to doing the YouTube video and editing the YouTube video and getting that up on the website. I was expecting myself to do 3 of those a day. And then when I get to the end of the day and I'd only done 1 and possibly started editing another, I'd get really upset with myself. And just stopping and realizing how long things actually take was a really big eye-opener for me. So getting rid of your to-do list and doing this instead is a great episode to listen to if you are somebody who overcommits your time. So that was episode 86. Number 3 on my top 5, 6 was episode 2. So this was obviously way back at the beginning of April 2020, and episode 2 was called Future Proof Your Business. So I think that this is a good one to listen to at any stage. It is always great to be looking at ways you can future-proof your business, and I think it's a really important one. So that is why that one made my list. The next one is episode 56, and that one was with Bernadette Chapman. It was Don't Discount If You Want to Be Profitable, and I think that stands to reason. Again, it's about making sure that your business is sustainable and that you're going to be here for a long time doing what you love. So I think that episode was a really, really great one to listen to. My number 5 choice was episode 66, which was Have Better Sales Conversations, and that was with Hannah Walker. And I just think she is a great character, and the way she talks about sales is a way that I really enjoyed listening to. I've always said that I'm not a salesperson, and when you listen to Hannah talk, who has been in that position where it's been sales targets and you must get these people on the books and you've got to land this account, and you hear the way she talks about sales, it just gives you a different perspective. So if sales aren't your thing, definitely go and listen to episode 66 with Hannah, because it was a fantastic episode. And then my bonus episode, which is by no means least on this list, is my episode 68, which was Passion to Purpose with Amy McLaren. Now, I've spoken about Amy and the book Passion to Purpose a number of times on the show. I am really, really a huge fan of everything she stands for, and being able to have her come on the show and do that episode was literally like, you know, seeing your favorite celebrity come on. It was very I was very starstruck and so excited to have been able to be part of her book launch journey. So if you haven't read the book yet, definitely go and download it. I will link it in the show notes for you. You can get it on Audible or you can get the hardback version, but I will link it for you. It's a really great book that talks you through a 7-step pathway to finding your passion and purpose. A lot of times, if you're in the wedding industry, you may think you have already found your passion and purpose, and you may well have done, but it's definitely worth a read so that you can look at it as the big picture of your life and your work and how they work together, and what you might move forward to doing now that you've reached this stage in your journey. So definitely some fantastic episodes there. I would like to say a huge thank you to everybody who has come on the podcast over the last 100 episodes and interviewed with me. I have enjoyed all of them. I really absolutely love having conversations with people on the show. If you are interested in being featured on the show for an interview, then I would love to hear from you. I will put a link in the show notes where you can apply to be on the show. And here's to the next 100, guys. I'm so super excited for what the future holds. The wedding industry is going from strength to strength, and so is this podcast. I look forward to seeing you all back next week for another episode of the Wedding Procast UK. Have a fantastic weekend. I'm sure there are going to be lots of weddings happening. So if you are working this weekend, I hope everything goes smoothly for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now. If you have enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you would head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a 5-star rating and a short review. It doesn't have to be anything long, just the fact that you enjoy the show would be absolutely wonderful. It really helps me reach more listeners just like you. Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.